and his messengers, creatures of the great danger, worshipping other than Allah. There is none greater.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful, I greet you all, my dear audience, in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, blessings, and mercy be with you all. We are still discussing the magnificent description of water in the glorious Qur'an. And as we said earlier, the Qur'an mentions water in actually more than 63 different verses. And these verses describe many of the qualities of water, which is the most important fluid we know of on the surface of that planet. The Quran, a book revealed more than 14 centuries ago to an unlettered prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in an unlettered society, describes many of the qualities of water long before man could know anything about such qualities. The Quran describes the origin of water on the surface of our planet by stating that it was all gushed out from within the earth. Then the Quran, in many, many verses, speaks about descending water from sky, and in this there is a notion to the hydrogeological cycle or the water cycle around the earth. Thirdly, the Quran speaks about how Allah, through His own will and knowledge, has prepared rocks and soils on the surface of that planet to be excellent aquifers for some of the rain waters. The Quran also speaks about the fact that rainwater is the purest water on the surface of our planet, and also discusses the role of water in coloring different plants and different animals and human beings through what it carries from the soil of the earth, from different minerals, chemical compounds, and the rest. The Quran also speaks about the role of water in producing lightning and thunder, which was very, very recently discovered by man. Now, today, we'll talk about seventh aspect of water elaborated in the glorious Quran, which is the role of rainwater in actually concentrating certain minerals and ores on the surface of our planet. In Surah Ar-Ra'd, chapter number 13, verse number 17, we read, أنزل من السماء ماء فسالت أودية بقدرها فاحتمل السيل زبدا رابيا ومما يوقدون عليه في النار ابتغاء حلية أو متاع زبد مثله كذلك يضرب الله الحق والباطل فأما الزبد فيذهب جفاء وأما ما ينفع الناس فيمكث في الأرض كذلك يضرب الله الأمثال. To translate this, I read, He, meaning Allah, all glory be to Him, sends down a water from the sky, meaning rain, and the valleys flow with water, each according to its own measure. Then the torrent carries away the foam or the froth that mounts up to the surface of the water body, and from what they heat in the fire in order to make ornaments or utensils therewith, meaning the ores of metallic elements, arises froth or a scum likewise. Thus does Allah show forth truth and falsehood by parable. As for the scum, it passes away like froth cast out, while that which is for the good of mankind remains on the earth. Thus Allah set forth parables for humans to learn. So we can see here a notion about one of the functions of water on the surface of our planet, which was only known probably in the 19th century, 20th century, that one of the best sources of valuable metals like gold, silver, iron, copper, lead and zinc is actually the sediments which are carried with running water. We call these placer deposits, deposits that are laid down in place. These elements actually are heavy, and they are carried with them many of the very light material, dust particles, clay minerals, and the like. And as the water flows, this light material floats on the surface and is taken away, while the heavy minerals are deposited at the bottoms of these channels. And many mining sites are actually using these, what we call placer deposits, are wonderful sources for the mining industry. And it's much easier than getting these ores in their original rocks, which are usually igneous and metamorphic rocks that are very hard to crush. Water does that process for us and crushes the hard rocks and deposits the heavy metals at the bottoms of the channels. And I have visited myself in Africa, many areas where they have dry channels that flood only during rainy periods, and the rest of the year they are dry. And in these dried sediments, we find very high percentages of gold, silver, and other metals. So Allah is giving the example of right and wrong. He gives the examples of the right by the heavy minerals that lay down on earth, and the falls by the froth and the scum that floats on the surface of the running water and goes away. And he is making this image more clear to our own understanding, and say this is exactly the parable of what man does in purifying many of the metals by smelting it actually under high degree of temperature and putting some compounds like lime with it so that it can carry the impurities and float on the surface, and the pure metal will remain below it. And Allah is giving this example for us that right is more or less long-living, and it will not be wasted at all. Even it's not appreciated by man, it is appreciated by Allah, all glory be to Him. And we will be rewarded amply for that. So right and wrong, falsehood and correctness are completely different. Right will settle, will never be lost, even if we're not appreciated by humans. It will be highly appreciated by Allah, all glory be to Him. And falsehood, whatever it may look glittering or look nice, it will finally flow and go away, and will never leave an impact on the surface of our planet. And this is one of the rules of water run on the surface of our planet. Was never known to anybody at the time of revelation of the glorious Qur'an, for this noble book to speak about it explicitly, even in a parable, in a way of giving example, in making the idea closer to the human mind, is a living testimony to the fact that this book cannot be the work of man. It is the divine word in its divine purity. We also read in the glorious Qur'an another point given by this noble book in Surah Al-An'am, the cattle, this chapter number 6 of the Qur'an, verse 99. It speaks about the process of photosynthesis long before man knew anything about this process. The understanding of the process of photosynthesis probably started in the later part of the 18th century, but was not really properly understood and formulated until the beginning of the 20th century. For the glorious Qur'an to spell this process so plainly and so beautifully is again a living testimony to the divine nature of this noble book. The process of photosynthesis, as we commented on it before, is the fact that Allah has given green plants what we call the green plastids, tiny little entities in the green leaf. And these green plastids, Allah has given it the capacity to take water from the ground, or via irrigation, or from rain, or from the humidity of the atmosphere, and analyze water by the energy of the sun into its original components. Water is H2O, 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. With the energy of the sun, the green plastids break this water into its initial components. And this would be the very first step in actually producing all the products or all the fruits of the green plants, particularly seeds and grains. And I think we have to come to a short break. And until we meet again, I greet you in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be with you all.
Lockers may or may not fortify your money. Investments may or may not increase your wealth. But giving zakat certainly fortifies, increases, as well as purifies your wealth.
Support Peace TV. Send your zakat and donation to IRFI, Al Rayyan Bank, Quadrant Court, 48 Calthorpe Road, Birmingham, UK. Pound account number 011323301. IBAN GB52 LOYD 3096 3401 0241 92. Sort code 300083. Swift BIC code IBOBGB22. Please confirm your bank transfers at admin@peacetv.tv.
Support Peace TV.
Let's come under the shade of the scholars.
So the issue is a problem of knowledge.
Asim Al-Hakim.
Why do people do bid'ah?
Imam Malik said, whoever claims there is a good innovation in the deen,
Salim Al-Amri.
he is accusing that Prophet Muhammad did not convey the message.
Dr. Mamdouh Muhammad.
If you know that the Prophet ﷺ did something and I do something else, you have to follow the Prophet ﷺ. Don't follow me.
Abdul Rahim McCarthy.
But if each one believes his goal is to please Allah, to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Abdul Rahim Green.
I think this really is to do with your internal state.
Where does the Qur'an and Sunnah point to?
Muhammad Al-Sharif.
We have to follow what Allah and His Messenger said.
Let's imbibe from these scholars the fruitful solutions for the problems of the world.
Which one we would take and which one we would leave? Question to every Muslim.
In the shade of the scholars. Next on Peace TV.
Coming back from this short break, I greet you, my dear audience, in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be with you all. Just before the break, we were discussing the fact that the glorious Qur'an, a book revealed more than 14 centuries ago to an unlettered Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in an unlettered society, hints to the process of photosynthesis in very precise language. And this process was not discussed by man until the end of the 18th century, and was not finally formulated except in the beginning of the 20th century. Quran reads, وهو الذي أنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به نبات كل شيء فأخرجنا منه خضرا نخرج منه حبا متراكبا ومن النخل من طلعها قنوان دانية وجنات من أعناب والزيتون والرمان مشتبها وغير متشابه انظروا إلى ثمره إذا أثمر وينعه إن في ذلكم لآيات لقوم يؤمنون. And the translation goes as follows: and he, meaning Allah, all glory be to him, is the one who sends down rain from the sky. With it we produce all kinds of plants, and then we produce from it greenish bodies, greenish matter, meaning the green plant seeds, greenish bodies, by which we produce closely clustered grains. And from the palm trees we produce clusters of dates, from the sheaths or spathes of it. These dates come hanging low and near, and then there are gardens of grapes and olives and pomegranates, each similar in kind, yet different in variety. When these begin to bear fruit, then look at its fruit and its ripeness thereof. Verily in these are signs for people who truly believe. And we were mentioning just before the short break that these green bodies Allah has placed in the green leaf of green plants are actually one of the marvels of creation. These entities that cannot be seen by the naked eye, Allah has given them the capacity to break down water using the solar energy in its original components. The two hydrogen atoms it retains and the oxygen atom it releases for the benefit of breathing humans and breathing animals. In the same way, Allah has given these green entities in the green leaf the capacity to absorb a tiny percentage of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And with the solar energy also breaks this carbon dioxide in its initial components. The carbon atom it retains, and the two oxygen atoms it releases for the benefit of breathing humans and animals. Then with the solar energy, it joins the carbon atom with the hydrogen atoms into endless chains of hydrocarbons. All the starchy material, all the cellulosic materials, all the sugars we know of, all the vegetable oils and vegetable fats, all this is created by these tiny green entities in the green leaf of the plant. And this functioning alone is enough to testimony to every sane person that this process cannot be the product of randomness or an accident or a chance. It's a very careful planning by the Creator, all glory be to him. And for the glorious Qur'an to indicate or hint to these green entities inside the leaves of green plants is a living testimony that this book, the glorious Qur'an, cannot be the work of man, but it is the word of the Creator in its divine purity. And to try to connect the work of these green plants with the product of clustered grains, like the wheat grains, the barley grains, the corn grains, was something really that preceded human knowledge with several centuries. Nobody knew anything about this relationship before probably the 20th century, and for the glorious Qur'an to hint to that in such a very simple and comprehensive and precise language is a living testimony for the divine nature of that book. And that's why the verse was ended by saying, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكُمْ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ. Verily, in these notions are good signs for people who truly believe. And the verse does not stop at describing wheat, barley, and the like grains, but it also speaks about dates, about grapes, about olives, about pomegranates, and it hints again to a very, very important and very delicate scientific point. It reads, مشتبها وغير متشابه. In the power of Allah, all glory be to Him, is this great variety in creation. And this variety in creation is mainly based on the share Allah gives to every living entity from the genetic code. And that's why we can find from probably the grapes, very many varieties. And from the olives, very many varieties. And from the dates, very many varieties. And so on. And this is only through the power of the Creator, because no man can have any control above this process. So the verse reads, after mentioning وَجَنَّاتٍ مِّنْ أَعْنَابٍ وَالزَّيْتُونَ وَالرُّمَّانَ مُشْتَبِهًا وَغَيْرَ مُتَشَابِهٍ, and gardens of grapes and olives and pomegranates, each similar in kind, the same species, but different variety. Each similar in kind, yet different in variety. And all this is given to these fruits through the different shares they get from the genetic code Allah has given to each species of the plants. And that's why we get this great variety, which is a great bounty from Allah, all glory be to Him, on man, because man has no power to do anything with this. And this can remain again one of the great signs for the scientific precision of the glorious Qur'an, because as I said at the beginning of this episode, photosynthesis is a novelty in human knowledge that came to crystallize only at the beginning of the 20th century, and for the glorious Qur'an to spell it out that beautifully and simply at the same time and comprehensively is a testimony to the divine nature of this noble book. Finally, the Qur'an speaks about the role of water in life. And in this, the Qur'an reads at the end of verse 30 in Surah Al-Anbiya, chapter number 21 in the glorious Qur'an, it reads, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ أَفَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. And we, meaning Allah, all glory be to Him, have made out of water every living thing. Will they not then believe? The verse reads, أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ أَفَلَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Have the unbelievers seen that both the earth and the firmament were initially a singularity, were initially embodied in a singularity, in a single entity, and then we clove that entity asunder, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ, and then we, meaning Allah, have made out of water every living thing. Will they not then believe? It's a lamentation from Allah, all glory be to Him, to those people who have got brains and free will and can see the wonders of the creation, and yet they do not believe, or they go crazy and associate others in worshipping Allah, all glory be to Him. In this sentence at the end of the verse, we can see many scientific facts. First of all, the early creation of water on the surface of our planet immediately after its initial creation. The main event that took place on the surface of our planet is the sending iron on that heap of ash that was just separating from the sun, and iron penetrated that heap of ash, releasing a great heat called the heat of settlement that melted the iron and fused that heap of ash, differentiating it into its 7 earths and liberating all the atmosphere and the hydrosphere of the earth. So connecting the creation of water immediately after the process of splitting of the earth from the heavens is a scientific fact that only came to our knowledge in the last few decades of the 20th century. Secondly, it hints to the fact that without water, life can never exist. Life which we know of on the surface of that planet can never exist. And inshallah, we will continue elaborating on that point in the coming episode, because we have come to the end of this one. And until we meet, I pray for your best and thank you for listening and greet you in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be with you all.